Russia was once also called Upper Volta with rockets. And the whole idea being, you're a regional power. You don't make much apart from Kalashnikovs. If you didn't have nuclear weapons, you'd be Upper Volta.
Tim, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Alexis.
Your book is addictive, Tim. It's once you pick it up, you just cannot put it down. It's got so many words. It's got over 300 questions separated North America, Europe, Africa, Oceania. I mean, how much fun did you have putting these questions together?
It was fun, and it's a departure for me. Because normally I write, hard non-fiction books about international relations. So it was fun to put it all together. It was also a challenge, though, because you have to word them really carefully. Sometimes you'd have to put in as of July 2024 or whatever, because things change.
Yeah, things shift, things change. You're going to be tough to beat in a pub quiz now, I tell you that. Look, we've been quizzing our listeners in the last hour. Let's put them out of their misery because we gave them these questions. The first one we gave out is, in which country is Mount Sinai? Said to be the location, of course, where Moses received the 10 Commandments from God. And Tim, the answer is?
Well, having climbed it a few years ago at dawn, which is an amazing experience, climbing Mount Sinai, also known as Jabal Musa in Arabic, because it's in Egypt, in the Sinai Desert.
What was that experience like, climbing it?
Oh, it was great. I drove down from Cairo overnight to get there for 4:30 in the morning, because it gets pretty hot. And then you climb up and you get to the top. I didn't see any tablets. And there was no burning bush, but that, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
Well said. Well said. The next question we took from your book and put to our listeners was, Australia is the driest continent, true or false? Now, this caught a few people out.
Yeah.
Tell us the answer.
It would catch people out because you could also ask about the biggest deserts and things. And of course, it's not the driest continent, because Antarctica is, because it just simply doesn't rain in Antarctica.
I love that answer. People said, no, it isn't, but then they couldn't figure out which one it might be. But your brain sort of very often doesn't go to Antarctica. So the last one we asked just about 10 minutes ago was, how many time zones does Russia have? My answer to that would be a lot, but I don't have a specific number.
That's close enough. 11 is a lot. It's a big place. France has 12.
What? Oh, yeah. Because of their overseas territories.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a good...
I can tell you're going to be good at this.
That's a very good... that's another very good pub quiz question, isn't it, France? Now, look, you've got some questions you want to bring to the table as well. Which ones do you want us to tackle?
Yes, but how do I know, Alexis, that your producer didn't tell you what they were in advance?
Well, to save my blushes, I might know some of the... But plus, Tim, I've had your book for 2 weeks and I've gone through it page by page. So, yes, perhaps it's
That's
more...
not cheating.
Perhaps more it's for the listeners rather than myself.
Which country did President Obama describe as no more than a regional power in 2014?
Well, I think we're back to our sort of last subject of a question which related to Russia. But was it Russia?
Yeah, Russia. But I have a supplementary secondary for 10.
Go on.
Russia was once also called Upper Volta with rockets. And the whole idea being, you're a regional power. You don't make much apart from Kalashnikovs. If you didn't have nuclear weapons, you'd be Upper Volta. Which country did Upper Volta become?
Oh, which country did Upper Volta become?
Africa.
Africa.
Northern half. Well, no, sorry. That was a clue. Northern half of Africa.
I don't want to say Egypt because I think that's the wrong answer, but am I Algeria?
Yeah, vaguely. Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso. And why again?
Well, it was an old colonial name from the area, the Upper Volta region, and the Germans and the French were hanging around there. And of course, they weren't going to have that when they won independence. So, they gave it a proper name.
Looking back at your, stepping away from the questions and looking back at sort of some of the answers, do you think he was right, though, President Obama in 2014? A regional power. I'm not quite sure I would describe it just... Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I would like the book, wouldn't I? Because I wrote it. But I like it because we've designed it specifically so it is a mix of history, geography, and international relations, which of course all come together anyway. But also, I hope it's a jumping off point for other things.
Yeah.
Such as finding out that Upper Volta, why did it become that? And on the Obama thing, I mean, it was a deliberate thing to try and put Putin in his place. I personally don't see the point in poking the bear unnecessarily. You could argue occasionally it has to be poked by necessity, but I didn't see the point of deliberately winding up Putin.
Yeah, I think many people will be in agreement with you. Tim, I want to get your perspective on the Middle East conflict. Again, we'll kick this off by a question that you've got in your book, which is what type of tree is on the Lebanese flag? Now, I'm happy to say that I did know that. I was mildly obsessed with flags when I was younger, but now there's more of them. Because, of course, of the breakup of the Eastern Bloc. So not as good. So we can put people out of their misery. It's a cedar tree, which is depicted on the Lebanese flag. But I suppose going back to the original source of the quiz book, which is the Prisoners of Geography, I mean, is there a better example of prisoners of geography than what we see in the Middle East?
Yes. Forgive me, but the clearest example is Russia, but we don't have time for that. But absolutely, because the Middle East is both physical and human geography, and then drawing some of those straight lines and creating human geography within artificial lines has not helped. But I mean, the flag is a really good question and jumping off point, because the reason it is not some of those pan-Arabic colors, which many of the Middle Eastern flags are, is precisely because some of the Pan-Arabic colors are to do with Islam. And Lebanon, being a multi-confessional country, you couldn't really have an overtly Christian symbol or an overtly Islamic symbol. So they took the great symbol of the cedars of Lebanon, which are mentioned in both the Quran and the Bible many times. And that is the sort of around something which at least we could all get around. Nobody hates the cedar flag, and it, they just simply could not have put something that was confessional on that flag. It's a really good example of how to try to create a sense of unity, but of course, as we know, it's fraying a little bit.
With your experience of the region, when you look at the conflict now, are you hopeful at all, Tim? Do you think there's going to have to be a sit around the table at some point?
Well, yes, and that's happened over the past 75 years, hasn't it? They've sat around a table. I am hopeful because I think you have to be, because even if you don't necessarily think you're going to solve it, I don't think it absolves you from the responsibility of actually trying. However, conversely, I'm afraid I think that all that will happen is that the situation will then, when it plays out, will be managed again. An example is the 2006 Hezbollah-Israel war, which was halted by Resolution 1701, and that put the 10,000 UN peacekeepers into the area between the Litani River and the Israeli border, and they were supposed to make sure that Hezbollah didn't come back to that area. They were unable to do that. But what the Israelis did, at great cost to themselves and to the Lebanese, was buy themselves about 18 years of relative calm. I'm afraid that's possibly the outcome of this, the relative calm for X years. And until you get proper solutions, then you're simply managing the situation. I'm sorry, we may be ending on that negative note, but I also do retain hope, because I think you have to.
Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think it's fascinating to get the thoughts of yourself, because you have looked into all this deeply. And the book, of course, the huge bestseller, The Prisoners of Geography, was a absolutely fascinating read, as is the next book, The Prisoners of Geography, the quiz book. Over 300 questions. How much do you really know about the world? Tim Marshall, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you.
Thank you.